to Flosstube number 18. My name is Hanneke. For those of you who are new here, you are very welcome to be here. I've got quite a few new subscribers in my last few videos, so you're very welcome. I appreciate it that you're watching. And for those of you who have been watching, some of you actually said they'd been watching since the very start, which I think was such a lovely thing to hear. So thank you very much for that. I do appreciate that. And it's just fun to be part of this community. I've said it several times and will keep repeating it, that it's a nice community to be a part of. And I watch plenty of Flosstubes myself. So yeah, it's just fun to stitch with a Flosstube on and watch what other people are doing and enjoy everybody's progress and celebrate it. So that's what I enjoy, and I appreciate that you come and visit with me. Right, so I'm actually late. So I was supposed to post a video last Saturday. It is now Thursday, and this video will go up coming Saturday because I usually post on a Saturday evening. I like to keep that rhythm, but it's now Thursday, so but I took some leave for today and for tomorrow, mainly because it's been very busy, and I know that the upcoming 2 weeks are very busy too. And at some point I have to take my leave, so I decided to take my 2 days now, which is very nice. I'm loving it. I could go shopping this morning, so I had a great morning already. And now I'm surrounded by all my stitching, which is always fun. And I will talk you through my progress. My last video was a whip parade, so you've seen everything I had at that point. And now I will just be showing you my progress, and I will show you one new start. Is it one new start? Yes, it's one new start. Before we begin, I decided I collect cups from Royal Albert. So last time I pointed out this, which is my Royal Albert Moonlight Rose, which I basically collect the whole thing. But then there are so many pretty designs and pretty cups. So I've also started collecting the lady cups from Royal Albert. And so I decided, because a lot of Flosstubers show what they drink or what they drink out of. And I thought, why don't I do that? Because I've got all these cups anyway. So I'm going to show you a pretty cup from Royal Albert before we start the Flosstube. This is Highland Thistle. And I think it is absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. It's obviously a nod to Scotland. It's just so pretty, isn't it? I love fine china. It really, really makes me happy. This morning I went shopping here just in Middelburg. I live in Middelburg. And I learned that there's a new shop about a 10-minute walk away from me. And they almost only sell secondhand Royal Albert. So I already said to the people that this was a very dangerous thing for me to know that, because they have exactly what I like. Anyway, they wrote down my email address, and I will be visiting again probably. So that's that. I did some framing over the weekend. I thought it's nice and summery. I have a little area where I display some cross stitching, and I still have my winter birds there, and I have my swan that I stitched, and both of those have been featuring in my Flosstubes. But I thought I'd like something that's summery. And I went back to my lilacs, you know, my lilacs, and I hadn't framed that yet because I hadn't found a frame. I think that when I first just finished it, I looked for a frame. I couldn't find one that I liked, so I rolled it up, put it in a box, and forgot about it for a while. And then over the weekend, I thought, why don't I try to find a frame after all? So I went to Action, which is a shop in the Netherlands. It's a cheap shop, but you get quite nice stuff there. can get quite nice stuff there. And I found this frame. So I framed it myself. It's not perfectly framed, but it's good enough for me. And I always frame it in a way that I can take it out if I want to. If I want to have it professionally framed at some point, I can just take it out. If I get fed up with it, but I like the frame, I can put something else in it. So I like to do it in a way that it's not permanent. So this is not a permanent frame, but it is a frame for now. And here it is. Isn't that pretty? I love that. Now this frame is quite thick. So I like that, so I can stand up straight. And it was lighter than you see at the moment. So the color it was this. So quite blank and slightly boring in my view. So I put it in there and it didn't fit. Well, it fitted, but I didn't like this with that blank color. And then I got some brown paint, put a little bit of extra black in it to make it nice dark brown, and then put some water in it and just, smeared it all over basically, and then took it right off. And I've seen quite a lot of videos on YouTube where people they buy old furniture and then do it up. They often do things like that. So I thought, why don't I do it on this one? And I think it turned out nice. And now this color matches perfectly with the colors here. So I was quite pleased to see the result. I think I went over this twice with the paint and taking it back off. So that was quite an easy fix. And I love this. I love this now. And I've always loved the lilacs. And I know some of you have started the lilacs. I've had quite a few messages of people saying that they've bought the lilacs, have started these lilacs. So here you go. This is it framed. And I am really enjoying it. I frame it with the glass so you can see the reflection. I'm sorry about that. There's not much I can do, I think. No, not really. So that's my fully finished. And now I have something springy in my room rather than the winter birds, which is still one of my favorite pieces that I've made. But it is very wintry. So for this time of year, the lilacs suit me better. Right. I think about 8 pieces that I actually worked on. And I have one new start. And then I found a book at a brocante. So it's like a second-hand market. We have quite a lot of them in Middelburg. And this lady was selling quite a few cross-stitch books. And I bought one of them. And I will show you that as well at the end. So the first one I'm going to show you is the biscornu. I decided to make a biscornu because I've never made one. So one has to start somewhere. And I came across the ones from Jacob, and he is from Modern Folk Embroidery. And I love those. He's got 8 motifs basically that you can stitch. And last time I showed you this one. So this one was finished last time. And I still think this is incredibly pretty. And I stitched this on a 20 count ivory Aida, and I stitch it with soie d'Alger, 1 strand of floss. So there you go. And I use 3 colors. So there's the green, there's the light grey, and then the border around it is a dark grey. So that's that one. I showed that last time. And this will be the top of the biscornu. And this will be the bottom of the biscornu. So this again is one by Jacob. And as you can see, I am getting there. The inner bits, it's not much on this one. So I think because coming Saturday, I am going to Leiden, which again is quite a train journey. So I will be taking this with me, I think, so I can finish this one. But yeah, it's very pretty. Very, very pretty design. It's easy to stitch. It's good for the sole because it is symmetrical. So it makes my heart happy. So this will be the bottom of it. Now, I also took this with me to a conference last week, and we had quite a long break. We actually had 3 very long breaks, and we were sat outside. It was a lovely, lovely venue. And I had taken my cross stitch with me, and my colleague said, "Why don't you do some stitching now?" And I thought, why don't I? So I did some stitching during the break of our conference. And one of my colleagues saw these and she said, "Oh, that's very pretty. I would love that." And her birthday is in a couple of days. So I might frame one of these and give it to her. So the idea is still a bisque nu, but I might not get to it because she really liked it. She really liked these motifs, so we'll see. Otherwise, I'll just get her a regular present. She also said she likes Mexican motifs, and she thought this was a Mexican motif, which I don't think it is. I haven't really read up on it. But I said, if that's what you want, you can just pick anything, and I'll stitch you anything. So she might come to me with a pattern, and that's what I'll stitch for her. That's absolutely fine. So we'll see. You'll see next time if this has become a bisque nu or not. Yeah, it's very lovely. They're very nice to stitch. So if you want an easy project next to or in between your other projects, I can only recommend these 8 patterns that Jacob has made. Absolutely lovely. Then, and this is a whole story, last time we spoke, I had decided to celebrate my 1-year Flosstube adventure. And I picked a pattern that I'm afraid of, and that's the mix and match pattern, where you basically have to, pick your own colors and just put the motifs wherever, and it sort of becomes a whole busy, pretty design. And I'd started with quite a lot of enthusiasm, and quite quickly I realized why I was afraid of it, because I struggled with the colors. I struggled with the fact that it wasn't straight, and I got so annoyed with it that I folded it up and put it in a drawer. I closed the drawer and thought, I can't be doing this. So I haven't looked at it since. I have decided that if I go back to it, I will pick a color scheme. So beforehand, I will pick about 10 or 12 colors maybe that I will be using for this pattern. Because I just really struggle with colors that don't exactly go together. So yeah, that was a whole thing. Anyway, I was so frustrated, and I had to sort of relax again. And I found this pattern on Etsy, and it was exactly what I needed. So I think I bought it 2 days later or so, because I thought I have plenty to stitch, but this one kept coming back up to me. So I'll put it on the screen, and I have forgotten the name. Let me just check on my app. Pattern Keeper is the app that I use, and it's Atelier Tiphanie, and I think it's so pretty. It's so straight, and the lines are clear, and it's just pretty. It's quite stitch heavy, but not too heavy. So it reminds me a little bit of my Petit carre, but it's still very different. I think on the picture it's one color. I think they chose red. And I think, you're probably thinking, well, you can see it on the picture. I can't see the picture. I have to edit that in later on. So I think it was a red one that they put on the picture. And I am not a red fan, so I went for pretty green and a little bit of, I think it's Bordeaux, more of a Bordeaux color. And this is where I am. So I've done 4 of the 48 squares, and I think this is called Sampler 48 squares or something. and it's from Etsy by Atelier Tiphanie. Now I am stitching this on, I think it is an 18 count, could be a 16 count, but I think it's 18. And the color is 731 DMC, but it is the old version. I think a while ago I told you about finding quite a lot of secondhand floss in a secondhand shop, and 731 was one of the ones that I had 3 or 4 skeins from. So I thought, oh, that's a good start. Then I went shopping in Middelburg, and there is one shop, and I knew that I went specifically to them because they have their DMC sort of hidden away. They have a very odd system, so it's difficult to find the numbers. I have no idea why they use a different system. It's not that they're exactly sorted by number. They are sort of sorted by color, but it's very unclear. Anyway, I dived into it and I found the 731 and I found the old version because it is slightly different, the old one versus the new one. For those of you who don't know how you can know whether it's an old or a new one, you can know because the old one on the skein, the little paper that goes around it, is different than the ones they use at the moment. So yeah, I got some of the old ones and now I have plenty to get through. And isn't that pretty? It's very simple. It's very simple, but so effective. So I healed my heart after the mix and match that I still would love to make, but I just have to figure out a way how I can do that because I don't know how to do that. We'll see. We'll see. For now, this is what I'm stitching and I am loving it. As you can see, it's just the little squares in between that I will be doing in the Bordeaux red. I thought that was the idea at first, but I would do one of these in Bordeaux red and then one of these little ones in. So just have a little bit in each square. But I couldn't work that out properly. And then I thought, you know what? It's actually subtle is plenty because it quite jumps out. And I have to say, on the screen, it doesn't look nearly as bright as it does in real life. But yeah, I'm loving this one. The squares are, I think, about 23 by 23 stitches. So they are quite big. But yeah, they'll look lovely. So I'm happy with this new start. It suits me very well. Yeah, this is also a lovely one to take when traveling because it's one color mostly. So you can quite easily stitch quite a bit. Right, next one is my UB designs and I will put it on the screen. This is quite a unique design. I say that every time. I still think they are quite unique in what they design and how they design it. Last time I spoke to you, I had quite a bit done and I'll show you. I had about this done. These squares or parts of the design. And as you can see, I've added this big one and I've worked up here. So I think I have done quite good. That's what I think. I am enjoying this piece, although I have to say that all the beige here was not the most fun stitching I've done. So at some point I did one stitch, one strand a day for a couple of days, just to get through a bit of it. I took this with me to one of the conferences, another conference that I took the other one with, because that was quite a train journey and I did quite a bit in the train. That was all the way to Nijmegen, so that, yeah, that takes a bit of time in the train. So I've done quite a bit of this on a train, and that's easy and lovely. And then after I stitched all the beige, I thought, oh, I have to put some more color there because otherwise it's too much beige. And now it's sort of balancing out again. So, and this is the whole width of it. So there's one more coming up here, and then obviously over here. But yeah, this is the whole width of the piece. And I really enjoy it because it's so different, and it is very, very pretty. I hope you can see something because I cannot. I stitched this on a 16 count, and all of it is decalled for DMC. So there you go. That's my UB design. And I do think this one is going quite quickly. So I think, you know, this one should be finished this year somewhere. This calendar year, mind you. Not the school year, because that is finished in, I think, about, was it 5 weeks? So I have my leave now and tomorrow, and then I have 5 more weeks to go. So it's going fast. And I booked my holiday. I'm going to Friesland, which my mum and I went to Terschelling a while ago. And then you have to go through Friesland to get to Terschelling. And I think Terschelling is also part of Friesland. But anyway, that's an island, so you have to go over the water. But Friesland is part of the mainland of the Netherlands. And I am in a house, basically surrounded by water, one of the lakes. They have quite a few lakes over there. And it is the perfect spot. So I am looking forward to sitting in the garden and stitching with water surrounding me, sailboats on that lake. I'm gonna love it. So I'll take some pictures so you can see. This is Moonlit Garden, and it is by Cathy for Gracewood stitches, and I stitched this on an 18 count Ada, and I don't know what the name of the color is because I bought this at a fair and it didn't have a name on it. And as you can see, I have started the 3rd row. Last time we spoke, I had this one done, and that was it. So I've done quite a bit over there with that 3rd row, and I'm loving the 3rd row. It's very nice to stitch. It looks a bit like grapes. I don't know if it is grapes, but it looks like it. So yeah, loving this piece. I stitch with 1 strand of white soie d'Alger. So it's stitched in silk, and I think you can see that. I love this piece, and I've said it before, it's a piece that will be taking me a long time, but I'm okay with that. It's very pretty. I've decided to take the border. Sometimes, well, some people, they do the whole border and then they do the inside. But because this is a very repetitive border, I've decided to just sort of work it up as I work the different rows. And this is a mirror piece. So about here is halfway, and then everything that I've stitched here will be mirrored up here. So that's one of the issues I had with this row. I've made quite a few mistakes in this row, and then I would figure out at some point that I was stitching upside down because I was stitching the top row, rather than the bottom row. So that was something to be mindful of when I would start stitching on this piece. But it's so pretty. Yeah, I love this one. It will be very elegant when it's finished and dainty, but it is a piece that needs to grow very slowly. And I was hoping to get the lace effect, and I think that that's coming through. So yeah, very, very pleased. Very pleased. So that's that one. Then we move on to my Petit carre. Petit carre has been a joy to stitch, and I've been stitching on it for quite a while now. And I thought recently that it feels like I'm working toward a finish, even though I'm just past halfway, but it feels like I'm working toward a finish. And that's because I've worked the border around the corner for most of it. And I have stitched 2 more squares. And I love it. I love this piece. I think it is so, so pretty. Now I hope you can see something, but it is a very big piece. There you go. So I basically decide myself where I put the colors. So what I mean by that is that she has designed it for 2 colors. She's designed it for red and blue, and I use 3 colors. So I basically decide whether this is going to be the brownish or whether this is going to be the brownish. So I try to have a nice balance as I go through. But I basically, like this one, I decided to do this the other way around, so it becomes a motif that can have all the colors in there. And I've done that more often. And I think the balance is okay. At some point, because this outside is brown, this outside was brown, I thought those are quite thick. Oh, sorry, you can't see it, those two. And I was worried that it would become too brown, but I think the balance is okay. It's very pretty, isn't it? So yeah, I'll keep working on this one. I usually do about 2 of these every Flosstube, with a bit of the border, or I do 3 of them on the inside. So my idea was to stitch sort of halfway here and then fill this one up to get to 75% basically. Yeah, very, very lovely. I stitched this on an 18 count with DMC. And if you are interested in the color scheme that I use, you can just leave a comment and I can let you know. Now my next one is one of my favorites and one of your favorites, and it is Moon Deer by Forest Owl Embroidery. Owl Forest Embroidery. I still don't know. It's Moon Deer, and it is a fantastic piece. Every time I stitch on this, I fall in love with it a little bit more. It is so pretty, so easy to stitch, and it just, every time you put something on it, I'm just enjoying it. It's one of those pieces that is lying around here on my couch or on my table quite a lot because I just want to look at it, because I want to look at what I've just stitched and I want to look at it for days. It's just so pretty. So I have done quite a lot since last time, I have to say. I stitched that little motif. I stitched those 3 leaves up there. I stitched the head of the deer and the neck of the deer. And then I stitched the full border on the side here. So that's quite a bit in my book. And I'm not sure yet whether I will first do the border on this side and then stitch the antlers. Last time I didn't know. And then I stopped the Flosstube. I was editing the Flosstube and I thought, antlers, there you go. So it's antlers, and I look forward to stitching those because it also brings a bit more purple again into the piece. But yeah, this is where I am at the moment. I love that deer. I mean, it's so fierce, isn't it? And this motif, gorgeous, so gorgeous. These motifs are quite quick to stitch. I was surprised by that. Really quick. But yeah, isn't that pretty? We can just look at this for hours and think, look how pretty, look at all the details. And it just works together. And so this is sort of halfway, that's sort of the halfway mark. And the antlers are very big, so they will go all the way up and then a little bit down. Yeah. Lovely, so lovely. I often stitch on this now on Sundays. I will try to show you close-ups, but like I said, I can't see anything right now. I have to peek around it to see anything. I stitched this on a 20 count ivory Aida, and I stitch with Weeks Dye Works 1 strand of floss. And the Weeks Dye Works is a conversion that I did, but it is a conversion to match the colors that they did. Oh, isn't that lovely? I'm thoroughly enjoying it, and I think it's very, very pretty. So let's see where I am next time. Maybe I've done half the antlers. It'd be so pretty. I just pressed the button. Let me just see. Yeah, I just thought I was stopped recording, but I didn't. I am stitching a piece that is reminding me of my holiday in Terschelling with my mum. And right after the holiday, I found this piece and I thought that's perfect. Now this one, again, I have to check my phone to see who is the designer of this piece. Let me see. I think it's CouleurdEtoile. So it is a French designer. CouleurdEtoile. And I think it is called something like a holiday, or yeah, it's in French. Le temps de vacances. That's my best French. It's probably wrong, but we'll work with it. And I've done quite a bit on this as well. Last time you've seen it, I did basically white here, and I have stitched everything around it now. So yeah, I'm loving this piece. It's an easy piece. It's an easy one to grab after a long day and just stitch a little bit further. Now I've made changes. I started with a mistake. And the mistake is that these boats are too high. They should have been a little bit lower. But because there was so much empty space there, I decided that it was fine. I just added in a little bit of these, well, I guess they are waves, but I've added in just a few more, and I don't think you can, it doesn't really matter, I think. The other thing I purposefully changed is that this house is in color, and so are these sailboats, and so will be the lines between the fence of the house. So the actual pattern is all white, so all of this is white, and I thought it was a bit out of balance. So you have a lot of white and then you have quite a bit of color here, and I felt it needed a bit more similarity to become one piece. So I have drawn from the little house here and basically used that for that bit as well. And then I did the sails here because I thought that'd be a nice touch. And then I will probably, because there are little beach houses here, there are 3 blue ones. I might make it 2 blue ones and 1 white one. So again, that the balance becomes a bit better. But we'll see. And like I said, I'm really enjoying this piece. It's great fun. It's easy. Look at those cute little sheep. That's just cute. And that bicycle is so fun. It looks like my new bicycle. I bought a new bicycle and it's nice and blue. It's very pretty. And in the Netherlands, a bicycle is very important. So I was very proud with mine. So this is a lovely, lovely piece. I stitched this on 16 or 18 count. I am not sure. and I'm using the quote for DMC, but I'm still changing the colors around to balance it. And I think next up is basically the tree all around here, which is completely in white. And I've looked at ways to add a bit more color into that tree, and I haven't found one yet. But if I can find a way, I might do that. But yeah, I love that little those sheep on the lighthouse. That would be a lovely little pillow as well. That's for the future. Yeah, loving this piece. It's on Etsy, like I said, from CouleurdEtoile. The next one is Magic Needle. For those of you who know me, know that my love for Magic Needle kits and the ones I have in stash as well. But currently I'm working on this one, and it is Roses for Neeldewoman. And I have done quite a bit again on this one since last time. This piece is lovely, like all Magic Needle kits are. I have finished the pins up there in the little hat, so it is a little pin cushion. And those pins were a bit of a pain because they had so many different colors in. So I might have cheated here and there, but I think they turned out really cute. And then there is a little bit of backstitching just to get those look like pins, basically. And I think it turned out really cute. So I was very happy when that was done. And then I continued on the rose and this sleeve. So I've added this sleeve, and I've been working on this massive rose that I think I'm not even halfway. It is a very big rose. So yeah, I will continue with that one. A lot of white, and a lot of those where they ask one strand of white and then you add another light yellow or light green or light pink to give it a bit more color. But yeah, I think the result is beautiful. But when you're stitching it, it feels like you're stitching a lot with white on white. But it looks pretty like this, doesn't it? And then there will be a beautiful pink rose over here. So I look forward to that one. And it's not a big piece, this one. It's not a big piece. It's basically this that needs stitching, and then it's done. So it's not a big one. But it is pretty. Oops. It is a kit. And it comes with 14 count Aida. Slightly yellowish. I didn't like it. So I changed it to a 16 count Aida white. But that's just personal preference. The Aida that's in the kit is absolutely fine. I do stitch it with the floss, which I think is Gamma Mulene. And I don't really notice much difference with a regular DMC, if I'm honest. And it's so pretty. I love this one. So I will continue with this and hope to finish this pretty rose. Yeah, and this rose is going slower than I thought. There are bits on here that go faster, like the leaf goes really fast. But that rose is quite intricate and difficult. Now this rose and that rose have backstitching. I haven't done it on this one. I don't miss it on that one. So I don't think I will be doing the backstitching on this one either, because I think it doesn't need it. And I don't always think that backstitching adds anything to a piece like this. So I think I'll leave it. So there you are. That's that one. I thought I was going to have a very short Flosstube because I didn't think I had much. But it's already 39 minutes, I see. So I chat too much. I should stop chatting and just show you all the pieces. The last one I'm going to show you is my landmarks. Now, people love my landmarks. And now I realize I should have looked something up and I didn't. So I'm going to put it on the screen because I watched these lovely Flosstubers And again, I'm going to put your name on the screen because I'm terrible with names. And one of them said, I love that piece Landmarks. And he is considering stitching the national parks. So the designer of these landmarks also made quite a few of these small ones of national parks. And I look forward to seeing him do that because I think these landmarks are lovely. I've actually looked at the national parks and thought, I don't live in America. I'm not American, so I don't feel as much connection to that. But if he's going to do it, I'm going to love watching it. So we'll be cheering you on. And this is where I am on my piece. As you can see, I have added the Eiffel Tower and I have added Osaka Castle. And I am currently working on, I don't remember. I think it was a mosque again, but a very different shaped mosque. So I was intrigued. I love this piece. Love it. Look how pretty. The Eiffel Tower is so pretty. Yeah. And Osaka Castle was fun to stitch. They had slightly different colors in. The greenish was slightly different in sort of the roof of the castle. So there were, I was a bit worried it would stand out. It doesn't. It blends in quite nicely. The sky behind it does mean that the castle is not as standing out as some of the other buildings are. So with this one I thought about doing a bit of back stitching to make that castle come to the front a little bit more. And I might do that at some point. I've decided not to do it at the moment, but I might do it in the end because it is very much blending into the sky. And they already charted it with the lightest sky colors, so I don't think there's much they could have done with that. But yeah. Isn't that pretty? I love this one. I have to say, when I'm stitching the sky, it isn't always as much fun because sometimes it's just a lot of blue. But the depth that comes into it is sometimes the most fun. Like I was stitching the Eiffel Tower, and as you can see, only here you have a slightly darker blue. And before I'd stitched that, I kept thinking it's a bit bland, this one. And then that bit came in and it just pulled it all together. And that Eiffel Tower is it's almost standing into the light. So beautiful. And I still love that Chinese wall, one of my favorites. But then so is Bhutan, Tiger's Nest, and to be honest, I love all of them. Yeah, and there's plenty more to go. There are 60, I won't stitch all 60. I think I said about 54, something like that. 56. So I'll stitch quite a few, but not all of them. I think there are a few Buddhas that I decided to leave out. But yeah, these are all very beautiful, and I've already put some in my wish list to stitch next. I think over here there'll be one with a lot of water because there's quite a lot of green already around it. So I'm trying to balance it so that it becomes a pretty whole piece. So I try to balance the green and the blue, and then there are a few in this dark. It's I think the Statue of Liberty in America that is all in this dark blue. It's very, very pretty. So that one will come a bit later so that it pulls the colors together again and it balances out nicely. But yeah, love it. So I will continue with this, and next time hopefully I have 2 more. Might be 1 more or 1.5, but I'll try my very best. I promise. Right. The Magic of the Forest is the book that I bought. So I like going to the brocante markets. There was one this morning, so I went there as well. And I usually go to look for a few things. So I look for the Royal Albert cups. I look for cross stitch stuff, and for a while I've been looking for a tin for my mum. And I found a tin at some point, so I don't have to look for that anymore. So now I basically mainly look for the Royal Albert, and I look for the cross stitching. Now this morning there was a lady selling cross stitch, but it wasn't books or supplies. It was rather finished cross stitch, and I wouldn't quickly buy that because I can make it myself. So I already have more than enough that I make myself. So I wouldn't know what to do with somebody else's. I do make a point though, when I walk into a second-hand shop and I see all these beautifully framed cross-stitch pieces, to really look at it, because I always think, oh, someone has put so much time and effort into this, and now they are being sold in a second-hand shop for €5. And that doesn't really feel right. And so I do always make a point to look at it and appreciate the work that someone has put into it. And if I had a massive house, I would buy all of it. But I don't have a massive house, so I don't. Now this one is by Jan Woodman, and it is The Magic of the Forest. Now you all know that I love my flowers. So yeah, I couldn't resist this one because it has a lot of flowers, it has butterflies, and it has birds. Now what does one need other than that? And I'm going to show you a few that I really like and that I might make at some point. This is one of them. It is wildflowers, coastal wildflowers. Let me just see if I can get that properly. I still can't do it, can I? There you go. Isn't that pretty? I love the way that the lake sort of, it seems like you can look away so far. And the way it is shaped with the cliffs, it almost looks like I am stood in Aberystwyth, looking out to Borth, for those of you who live there. It almost looks like that. And I love Aberystwyth. It's my favourite place on earth. So yeah, lovely, lovely piece. But it has more pretty pieces. And let me just see, I can't show the patterns obviously, so I have to be a bit careful. But there are quite a few little ones of flowers that I can't show you because it has both the pattern and the picture on the same page. But I can use those for cards. If I want to make more cards with cross stitching, I could use some of these flowers to do that. And then they have separate butterflies, so you can put the flowers and the butterflies together if you want. So that's quite nice. Now this is one that I wanted to show you, and it is a series of birds of the bush. And I love this. In particular, I love those two. So I might well make those. I think that blue one on top is just strikingly beautiful. Yeah, beautiful colours. So isn't that pretty? And again, these can be very well made for cards. But those two, they seem very nice for a loop. So I might make one of those, or two of those, but I think the blue one will be my favorite. And then we have two pieces, and how am I going to do this? Let me see. I can make sure I don't show the pattern. These are two wildflowers, bouquets. Now I love those. You know, I stitch flowers a lot, and these are very pretty. So I might stitch those one day. wildflower bouquet. Especially the top one, it's very pretty. Although I would stitch it on white rather than, I think, the beige they have. Very pretty. Wildflower bouquet. So yeah, this book, I saw this book and I thought, I need it. I need that book. And it's all charted in DMC, and then at the back it is also giving me a conversion chart for Anchor, Aberystwyth, so that's for the silk, and then for Finca. I've never heard of Finca. I don't know what that is. But the Aberystwyth, I do know what that is. And I might want to stitch some of these in Aberystwyth. Not the coastal one, because I think that would be too much. But some of these flowers or butterflies, I think will look very, very nice when I stitch it with silk. I'll show you this one as well. Now there's a bit of embroidery in here. So this is embroidery, free embroidery. But then all these butterflies are cross stitch. So you can just add them anywhere, basically. And they would be lovely for little cards. So yeah. And, small projects here and there doesn't hurt, does it? We have so many big projects. I do tend to fall for the bigger ones. That's what I have learned. Right, so that's my book. And she had other ones. She had one with patterns that they use in tapestries and chairs. And that was very pretty too. But I decided to go for this one because I usually end up stitching flowers if I can. So that's what I went with. And that concludes, I think, my Flosstube of the day. I thank you very much for watching. As always, I really enjoy showing the things that I've made and the things I've been doing. I love hearing what you have been stitching or what you are stitching. I hope you have enjoyed the video. If you have enjoyed it, leave me a like or leave me a comment that you have liked it, because that's always fun to read. And I look forward to seeing you again in maybe 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks. We are now in the last weeks before the summer holiday, so it is busy, and I don't know if I can make 3 weeks. So it might be 4 weeks, but I'll see you again next time. Thank you.